Hello everybody, my name is Thomas Kuda and welcome back to the Design Desk. This week we will be talking about something that's always stuck in my craw, and that is Always-on DRM. For anyone who's not sure what that is, it stands for Always Online Digital Rights Management, which basically just means that you have to have an internet connection to use any functionality of the game whatsoever. Single player, multiplayer, etc., etc. I'm here to talk about this because it upsets a lot of gamers, and it's upset me before. And I just want to talk about why it upsets people, some of the good things and some of the bad things about it. First, it upsets people because it makes it so that your single-player game is only usable, one, if you're online, which is no good if you have any trouble with your internet for any reason. Two, if they ever decide to shut down the server that runs the online connection to that game for whatever reason, the company goes out of business or they are low on cash because they're starting to struggle and they need the money to move to another project or something, they can just shut that stuff down in an instant. And that's no good because then you lose that game forever. And gaming is fairly young of an industry still, but people are still playing games from back in its early days. I myself still have an NES and play Mario, and I wasn't even alive when the NES was out. And that's not an uncommon thing to have happen. If you think of it, people still read books from the 1600s, and I know that might not apply quite as well here because of graphics and technology moving forward so quickly, but it still stands to reason that, in 20 years, I'm probably still going to want to pop in my Fallout 3 disc and play for a couple hours, just to get that nostalgic feeling and relive those days of dumping hundreds of hours into that game. And I want to have that experience. But with online DRM and the things that they're starting to do with that now, you're going to ruin that. You're going to have all that go away because in 10, 15 years, if the servers even are alive for that long, you lose that game. That means that your carefully preserved collection of Xbox One items will have that game and you just can't do anything with it. And that's no good. And the developers do this to try to prevent people from pirating the game, which to me is not a good enough reason to warrant doing that. Now, if your game is online only, there is no single-player function or local co-op versus type function whatsoever, then it's a little bit different of a story because without the internet, you can't do anything with the game anyway. So that I can understand and see it happening. But for anything with a single-player function, a storyline, even something where you could do a LAN party with it, you shouldn't have to have internet for it. There are better ways of digital rights management than making it so you have to have an internet connection to use it at all times. We aren't even to the point yet as a community of gamers where it's viable to require that from every single person. There's still a lot of people who don't have good quality internet connections and can't afford to get a good enough quality internet connection to have a reliable use of the online functions to games. We don't even have the infrastructure to handle a lot of the online DRM stuff. Granted, it's getting better and it's getting much better quicker, but I just don't think we're there yet, and I don't think that this is the right step for developers to be taking with anything with a single-player functionality of any kind. And I just want to see this practice stalled for now, stopped for now, and see them put some effort and time into working on another type of digital rights management that will be a little bit more fair to everybody. There's still going to be players and people who want to pirate the game and will find workarounds for the always-on stuff. But you just make it more difficult for your honest consumers to enjoy the game that you put out. And that's really, at the end of the day, what's important is that the game is good and enjoyable. And if you're doing something, whether in the creation of the game itself or through the way you handle the game post creation, you're ruining that fun experience for players, and then they're not going to want to buy your stuff again, and they're not going to want to support your game anymore, and that's no good. I mean, granted, you see a lot of always-on titles like Destiny, which I put here in this video, that still do really well, and people seem to kind of swipe it under the rug after the initial upset, which, you know, I can understand. I don't think Destiny has a whole lot of a single-player type thing going on with how integrated the fire team system is. But, I mean, you know, it just doesn't sit real well with me that Always On is the new trend for now. I mean, they tried to do it with the Xbox One itself, and people threw a fit, and rightly so. I mean, I was mad. I was considering not getting an Xbox One at all if they were going to go that route with it, because who wants to deal with that? I mean, nobody. There's times when I don't have internet. There's times when I can't use the internet. And, you know, I'd love to be able to play my games still. So I just want to sit down and talk about that. It's something that really gets to me. I really wish that developers would just stop doing it, unless it's for a game that only has a multiplayer functionality and there's no single player in it whatsoever. It just really frustrates me that people sit down and do that because they're trying to be greedy and make more money. I mean, if you put out good product and you treat your customers well, I think you'll find naturally that there will be less people that pirate the game in the first place. And that's not to say they shouldn't try to protect their games from being pirated, but there are better ways to go about it than the ones they're doing right now. So thank you guys so much for coming and listening to me and hanging out with me. If you guys want to leave comments to talk about this further, give me your ideas and thoughts on it, that'd be wonderful. I would love to have a chat with all you guys. So thank you guys so much for being here with me. I hope you all have an amazing day. Thank you so much, and goodbye.
Okay, I've pulled out everything they managed to steal. We should destroy this thing. They didn't get much. Kept hitting an active firewall. Old Earth. Russian.